Hey everybody, I'm Todd and this is Sweet Tea Guitars. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel and welcome to the Great Guitar Build Off 2022. Alright you guys, I just released my latest video for the Great Guitar Build Off. I can't remember what I titled the video. Sorry about that you guys. On the thumbnail, it's episode 12. This will be episode 13. We're going to jump straight in to work on this guitar. But before we do that, I would like to say thank you to everyone that is a member of the Great Guitar Build Off community. I love all you guys. Thank you so much for what you guys have done for my life. I didn't mean to leave you out, Ben. I figure it's a given at this point that I'm absolutely indebted to Ben Crow for the rest of my life, you guys. 4 years ago, had you asked me would I be a guitar builder, I would have said probably not. Then I watched my first Ben Crow video, and ever since that moment, my life has changed. Between Ben and the rest of this community, I've learned everything I needed to know to become an awesome guitar builder. It's up to me at this point to learn as I go, and I really just want you guys to know how appreciative I am to all of you for being a part of this community and allowing me to be a part of this community. So thank you. Here's the Cloud 9 build, you guys. I've got my first coat of Osmo wood wax wiped on here. It's cured overnight. What I'm going to do right now, and we're going to make a quick process of this, at least on video, I'm going to clean these bevels up. We're going to wipe this whole guitar down with Osmo Pollux oil. I'm going to hang it, let it dry, and I am going to repeat that process for the next 4 days. So there's not going to be anything else going on. I'll film it every day, but like I said, we're going to make short work of this. The finish on this guitar is not exactly what I thought it would be, but you guys tell me. I think that is so cool, man. I really love this linear fade. I'm going to try this at least 25 more times. I want to use some different colors and see what kind of effects I can get. I'm going to clean these bevels up. You've seen me do this in the last 2 videos I've released on the channel, so you don't really need to see me clean these bevels. They're not that bad. I've got just a little stain bleed around the edge, and I want to get that taken care of. I'm going to use a combination of these Veritas scrapers that I got. I just pulled a new burr on these, so they should be up for the task. I've got my little hard half teardrop sanding block here. I oiled the bevel, so the oil's going to clog up the sandpaper pretty quickly. We'll work it out as we go. I do not want to screw this finish up. I do not want to slide my guitar around on this table because the back's got oil on it as well. I've pretty much got that side done. All right, you guys, I don't think I'm going to get it much better than that. That looks really nice. I finally got the bevels clean. I've been working on this for a couple of hours. Let's pan down here and get this oil wiped on. So we're starting with the Osmo Pollux oil at this point. This is product number 3054, Osmo Satin Pollux oil. I've got 2 t-shirt rags laid out here, one for the back, one for the front. I'm going to try and catch the bevels first so I don't contaminate my freshly cleaned bevels. But anything that still needs to be cleaned up after this, I'll touch it up as we go. Gio and myself were talking about this yesterday, and he said, you flood coat the first coat of Osmo, right? And I said, normally yes. And that's not how Osmo recommends you apply this, but I find for a guitar, it works. I'm not going to say better, but it works doing it this way. Then we'll let that set up for a minute, and then I'll rub it back. That's how I like to do it. I made a last minute decision. Since it's the Great Guitar Build-Off, since I'm such a fan of Crimson, since they were nice enough to send me the penetrating guitar finishing oil and the high build guitar finishing oil, I'm going to use this to finish this guitar. I've had the Crimson high build finishing oil sitting on here for about 15 minutes. I am now going to just buff this stuff back. Tomorrow, when we get ready to wipe that coat on, each time we should produce less and less stain pull. I may have a little touch-up work to do, but nothing major. Let's wipe down the back. I'm going to go straight to the guitar with this high build finishing oil. We'll get us a nice coat laid down on there. I've seen some of the sheen levels that Ben's been able to get with this stuff, and that's what really made me change my mind last minute. We can buff this to whatever level of gloss we want, or I can just let it cure and we'll leave it satin finished. I may have found myself a new favorite finish product. We'll see. If that's the case, I'll need to contact Ben and find out if I can get this in a quart. There's just enough resistance that you can tell this high build finishing oil has absolutely got some wax in it, or I would think it does. Okay, one final wipe down. All right, you guys, we've got Cloud 9 hanging back on the rack again. We'll wipe another coat of this oil on tomorrow. I have changed over to the Crimson High Build Guitar Finishing Oil. We're going to use it for the rest of this process. And I will go ahead and tell you guys, I am a fan. So much so, in fact, I plan to order 2 more bottles of this stuff and some other Crimson finishing products tonight. I've changed the overhead lights to like a blue, so you may see some color shifting in this video. I'm doing some experimenting. Bear with me, you guys. I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning on the bevels, but we're going straight to oil with this thing, you guys. We should be almost to the point now that no stain pulls off of here. I'm going to wipe probably 2 more coats of this Crimson High Build oil on here. It's got a nice silky feel on this body now. On top of that, what really sold me on it was what it did to the Paduk. Look at that sheen on there. That's no buffing. I have not touched this thing. Excellent, you guys at Crimson. Killer, killer stuff. I love it. This is absolutely not the time to start. Not only don't second guess yourself during this period, don't start getting frustrated and saying, I can let that go. You can't. You really can't let it go, you guys. You know, if you need to, take a break for a couple of days. Walk away from it and come back with a fresh head and a fresh pair of eyes and start back with the right attitude. Because I'm telling you guys, when you get to this point in a guitar build, your attitude has everything to do with how the guitar turns out. You know, I think going into something like this with a positive attitude, it's the most important thing that you can try and do. A lot of these guys are doing this stuff for their first time ever. And if you can come out of this and have a guitar that is playable, then you should absolutely consider your build a success. The first guitar I built that I was actually truly happy about was the Dark Corner build, which I gave away. And even that guitar had mistakes on it. So I'm saying this to you guys who are entered into the Great Guitar Build-Off, especially in the scratch build category, and you've chosen to do your first scratch build for this competition. Don't be too hard on yourself, you guys. This is not easy. If this was easy, I would want nothing to do with it. The whole allure of guitar building for me is the difficulty, and it blends that difficulty in with your creativity. That's where the fulfillment comes from. You have to work to get to that point. You know, don't start out thinking that your first guitar is going to be a masterpiece. I can say this from personal experience. The lessons that you learn as you're building a guitar, those lessons carry themselves subconsciously to your next build. You yearn for that knowledge. What this is an exploration into creativity. But it's a part of something bigger than all of us. It's beautiful. I love it. I'm so proud to be a part of it, you guys. So let's get back to work on this thing. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm getting long-winded again. Here's where we are. My bevels are clean. I didn't figure you guys wanted to watch me scrape and sand and do all that stuff again, considering how many videos I've released lately that are me scraping and sanding. So now we're oiling. I'm going to let that sit for about at least 10 minutes. I had to go ahead and wipe this oil off. It was starting to go on me. It's been super hot here the past couple of days. And I didn't want to take a chance. If you wait too long, it won't ruin it. It's just really hard to get off. It's got our second coat of Crimson High Build Guitar Finishing Oil over the top of one coat of Osmo Wood Wax. We wiped one pretty decent coat of Osmo Satin Hard Wax Oil on this guitar. Then I went to Crimson High Build Guitar Finishing Oil last night. 2 coats roughly put on there last night that I rubbed back really well. And then tonight we put a really nice saturating coat on this guitar. I could ultimately stop now, but I could also build a couple of nights more worth of coats, and we can buff this thing up to a light gloss, not plastic looking at all. I want it to feel silky. The hard wax oil won't give you a high gloss finish anyway. It's going to give you a natural gloss finish, which I really love. My stain bleed's not nearly as bad on this go round, so I feel certain that one more night's worth of the Crimson High Build oil is going to produce the results we're after. My colors have blended themselves together and everything is looking so fine. It's a little heavy, but I'm thinking it's still going to be less than 10 pounds. Considering it's my guitar, I'm okay with that. You know, I'm a big dude. Let's get back to work on this thing. First order of business is to take care just of these little areas right here. I don't see too much stain bleed going on. We're to the point now to we're starting to get like hairline, you know. I think what I may need to do is get myself a couple of razor blades. The reason I want to use a razor blade as opposed to a scraper, most of these have a honed edge. And if you're dealing with a blade that has a honed edge, it's not going to leave streaks around the side, which is the point. See, I think I can get away with doing it this way and not even having to use sandpaper on it. Now would not be the time to relax. One fluid movement creates one fluid line. That's kind of the rule I'm trying to follow, at least. Any of these last minute touch-ups that we want to do, they need to happen now, because this next coat of oil could very well be our last. Let's flip this thing over. I'm pretty happy with how we're looking on the front. I want to check for any scratches on the back. I already know that I've got a couple little areas right here that I want to get. All right, it's gone. That looks delicious. I mentioned in the first couple of videos that I would love to figure out a way to either not cap this headstock or to reveal that Paduke and the Purple Heart from behind whatever kind of headstock plate I ended up putting on here. Well, I started thinking about that, and then I came up with a little funky idea. You guys see that design I got drawn on there? I'm going to carve all this in the center. I'm going to carve all that away. I've already started this. I've got my nut line cut in right there. I like to push myself and do things outside my comfort zone. What I may need to do, get out my little Dremel tool with the base on it. This could be a real catastrophe. There's where we are. So I know it doesn't look like much yet, but I got plans, you guys. Now I'm going to clean all this up and make it nice. All right, you guys, last night was kind of an experiment in sporadic film technology. I did not film all of this because it was a lot of me just sitting here thinking about what I was doing next. I absolutely love it. I think it has turned out so cool. I think once I get the tuners on here, and after I do what I'm going to do to this, which I'll show you guys in just a minute, what I want to do before we go any further is I need to clean that up down in there. I've got some scratches from the files and the chisels and all that stuff going on down on my Paduke. I need to clean the edges of the carve up on the maple. Then we're going to go back to wiping oil on this guitar. Tonight is Thursday, September the 15th. I got to get this thing done, you guys. I got 15 days left. So now it's time for the detail stuff. No substitute for an inside ground gouge when you need one. All right, you guys, I think we got our carves pretty much straightened out at this point. So I'm going to continue on with the sanding. This should not take us much longer. So here's the Cloud 9 build, you guys, in its current form. I have been working on my headstock treatment for a while. I'm almost to the point that I'm done with it. And then we're going to wipe some stain on just the maple part of this. I'll stain that to match the body to try to tie everything together and make sure it's homogeneous. And we'll take care of that momentarily. Before we go any further though, I've got a little sanding left to do, of course, you guys, more sanding. But it's part of it, and I really need to get that finished before we go any further. And if you'll notice, I've also cut some bevels, wide to thin here. I've started on this side as well, cutting a few bevels in. I'm going to bevel these areas too and get everything nice and sorted before we start back wiping oil on this thing. So let's continue on. I've got my hard 3M block right here. We can catch the top of this maple. I've got my headstock taped up. We're gonna wipe a coat of turquoise Angelus leather dye on these fingers, or these lace-up areas, whatever you want to call these blobs. So I'm going to damp that back a little. And I'm going to leave those solid blue like that. I'm not going to sand them back or anything. I want that contrast. I really like it. I think that's just funky enough to make this thing different. Let me pull this glove off and I'll show you guys what we got here. I love it. I think it's just funky and weird. And it goes with the rest of the guitar, I believe. All right, you guys, I have come to the conclusion that it's a bad idea for me to start drilling on this guitar. I'm about to wipe another coat of oil on here, and this is more than likely going to be the last coat of oil. So I think what I'm going to do is wipe this guitar down with oil, let you guys see it in its final form before I assemble it, and we'll make one more video, which will be the drilling into the bridge holes and assembly. It'll have no more finish work in it. I don't want to rush this, and I feel like drilling the holes in right now is going to be me rushing it. I've got enough time to get one more video released, which will be the assembly and demo of this guitar. So that's what I've decided to do. I apologize to you guys. I know I said earlier in the video that we were at least going to start assembling this guitar, but in the interest of a good finish, I am not going to do that. I lost a bunch of time because of that idea I had on the headstock, and it slowed me down a little bit. I want to make certain that I've got a video to release in the morning or sometime tomorrow. And if I start drilling holes on this guitar right now and getting all that stuff worked out, not only is it going to be super late by the time I get out of the shop, it's going to be almost impossible for me to get this video edited and released for tomorrow. I promise you guys this will be the last of the finished videos for the Cloud9 build. Let's get some oil wiped on this guitar and finish this thing up. All you guys know, I've switched over to the Crimson High Build guitar finishing oil right here. I absolutely love this stuff. I've ordered 2 more bottles of it. Let's get these bevels first. Then we'll get over into that blue. I'm going to let this sit for a little while. It's nice and cool out tonight, so I don't have to worry about this oil going off too quick on me. I'll see you guys in about 15 minutes, and we'll buff this thing back and turn it over and do the back, and we'll get the neck too. I'll be right back, you guys. I'm still like a kid at Christmas over this thing. I love it. I'm really happy with the results, and it's not over yet, you guys. And I've already hit the back of this thing with, 2 or 3 heavy coats of oil. This will be the last coat. You guys know the deal. I'll see you in a few minutes. While that finish is curing back, I wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to change some things around in here. We're going to get better lighting. I'm going to go to a 2-camera setup. We're going to change the backdrop. I'm going to do some things in here that are going to make my shop more friendly for production, so I can actually build more than one guitar at a time. I know this is a great guitar build off, but that's what led me to this point. We'll see what happens. I mean, things are liable to change as we go here, but I really am looking forward to being able to build, some guitars for some people. So if any of you guys ever want a guitar from me, stay tuned to the channel. I will be building guitars coming up here that I actually offer for sale at a reasonable price. This is the Cloud 9 build. There's my headstock. I really love that. I think it's all weird. I love it. I think it's awesome. I love this guitar. I hope you guys like it too. The next video, we're going to start putting hardware on this guitar, you guys, I promise. We're done with the finish. I'm going to let this thing cure for a few days. We're going to get back working on it, and I'll get the bridge installed. We'll get the jack drilled in. We'll get the pickup soldered up. We'll get the pots installed. I'll crown and level these frets. We'll get the tuners put in. I'll make the nut for it, and we'll wrap this build up and call it done. And then I will submit my video to the Great Guitar Build Off for what that's worth. Again, I do not care about winning. I will go ahead and make this statement right now. If I were to even place in the Great Guitar Build Off, any prize I win from them, I will donate it right back to the Great Guitar Build Off. So you guys have my word on that. I didn't do this to win anything. I did this for the camaraderie. I did this for the experience. I did this because it already fits what I do on YouTube. Anyway, you know, I want to build this community. I love this community. I'm glad to be a part of this community, and winning does not matter to me. It's about what the Great Guitar Build Off stands for, at least in my heart. That is helping people get into music that potentially may not be able to do that, whether it be because of financial reasons or whatever it may be. Because I can tell you right now, music, just like guitar building, has the ability to change lives. I really appreciate you guys stopping by the channel, checking out my build. Thank you so much for following along as I have built this guitar, which is my entry into the Great Guitar Build Off 2022. I'm calling it the Cloud 9 build. If you guys don't mind, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date as to where I'm at here on the channel. Leave me a few comments. Let me know what you think about this build and every other project I've got going on here at the shop right now, or just to say hello. And as always, you guys, peace and love.